Hi guys, I'm back. Um, I was up until very, very early this morning. Very, very early this morning. And I did get one part of chapter 11 for Harry Potter read, but I was finally starting to wear down enough to where I was starting to get really tired. So I went to bed. So I'm going to take the time to finish it now. And I have not uploaded that part yet. So when you see it, later on today, you will be like, why is she doing it in one part very early in the morning and now it's 2:15 in the afternoon? Well, that's because I finally crashed enough to where I could go to sleep, get some sleep, and then I got up this morning and did some errands and did some things around the house, and now I am ready to start reading again. No coffee today, though. I think that's what my problem was yesterday. I had 2 pots of coffee to get through all the recordings I had to do yesterday to make up for what I did yesterday. And I was up until 5 this morning because I could not sleep. I could not settle down to go to sleep for anything. But hopefully we're all good now, and hopefully I'll be able to get some decent sleep tonight. So that way I'm not up until super, super late. And plus I have to go and hand out lunches tomorrow. So hopefully everything works out. So, okay. I'm going to pick up where I left off at yesterday, which I haven't uploaded chapter 11 yet. But when you do see this, it's going to start at the break in the chapter where I left off. So here we go. A week later, Harry, Ron, and Hermione were walking across the entrance hall when they saw a small knot of people gathered around the notice board, reading a piece of parchment that had been pinned up. Seamus Finnegan and Dean Thomas beckoned them over, looking excited. "They're starting a dueling club," said Seamus. "First meeting tonight. I wouldn't mind dueling lessons. They might come in handy one of these days." "What, you reckon Slytherin's monster can duel?" said Ron, but he, too, read the sign with interest. "It could be useful," he said to Harry and Hermione as they went into dinner. "Shall we go?" Harry and Hermione were all for it, so at 8 o'clock that evening they hurried back to the great hall. The long dining tables had vanished, and a golden stage had appeared along one wall, lit by thousands of candles floating overhead. The ceiling was velvety black once more, and most of the school seemed to be packed beneath of it, all carrying their wands and looking excited. "I wonder who will be teaching us," said Hermione as they edged into the chattering crowd. "Someone told me Flitwick was a dueling champion when he was young. Maybe it'll be him." "As long as it's not," Harry began, but he ended on a groan. Gilderoy Lockhart was walking onto the stage, resplendent in robes of deep plum and accompanied by none other than Snape, wearing his usual black. Lockhart waved an arm for silence and called, "Gather round, gather round. Can everyone see me? Can you all hear me? Excellent. Now, Professor Dumbledore has granted me permission to start this little dueling club to train you in case you ever need to defend yourselves, as I myself have done on countless occasions. For full details, see my published works. Let me introduce my assistant, Professor Snape," said Lockhart, flashing a wide smile. "He tells me he knows a tiny little bit about dueling himself and has sportingly agreed to help me with a short demonstration before we begin. Now, I don't want any of you youngsters to worry. You will still have your potions master when I'm through with him. Never fear." Wouldn't it be good if they finished each other off?" Ron muttered in Harry's ear. Snape's lip was curling. Harry wondered why Lockhart was still smiling. If Snape had been looking at him like that, he would have been running as fast as he could in the opposite direction. Lockhart and Snape turned to face each other and bowed. At least, Lockhart did, with much twirling of his hands, whereas Snape jerked his head irritably. Then they raised their wands like swords in front of them. You see, we are holding our wands in the accepted combative position, Lockhart told the silent crowd. On the count of 3, we will cast our first spells. Neither of us will be aiming to kill, of course. I wouldn't bet on that, Harry murmured, watching Snape baring his teeth. 1, 2, 3. Both of them swung their wands above their heads and pointed them at their opponent. Snape cried, "Expelliarmus!" And there was a dazzling flash of scarlet light, and Lockhart was blasted off of his feet. He flew backward off the stage, smashed into the wall, and slid down it to sprawl on the floor. Malfoy and some of the other Slytherins cheered. Hermione was dancing on tiptoes. "Do you think he's all right?" she squealed through her fingers. "Who cares?" said Harry and Ron together. Lockhart was getting unsteadily to his feet. His hat had fallen off, and his wavy hair was now standing on end. "And, well, there you have it," he said, tottering back onto the platform. "That was a disarming charm. As you see, I've lost my wand. Ah, thank you, Miss Brown. Yes, an excellent idea to show them that, Professor Snape, but if you don't mind my saying so, it was very obvious what you were about to do. If I had wanted to stop you, it would have been only too easy. However, I felt it would have been instructive to let them see." Snape was looking murderous. Possibly Lockhart had noticed, because he said, "Enough demonstrating. I'm going to come amongst you now and put you all into pairs. Professor Snape, if you would like to help me." They moved through the crowd, matching up partners. Lockhart teamed Neville with Justin Finch-Fletchley, but Snape reached Harry and Ron first. "Time to split up the dream team, I think," he sneered. "Weasley, you can partner with Finnegan. Potter." Harry moved automatically toward Hermione. "Oh, I don't think so," said Snape, smiling coldly. "Mr. Malfoy, come over here. Let's see what you make of the famous Potter. And you, Miss Granger, you can partner Miss Bulstrode." Malfoy strutted over, smirking. Behind him walked a Slytherin girl who reminded Harry of a picture he had seen in Holidays with Hags. She was large and square, and her heavy jaw jutted aggressively. Hermione gave her a weak smile that she did not return. "Face your partners," Lockhart cried, and back on the platform. "And bow." Harry and Malfoy barely inclined their heads, not taking their eyes off of each other. "Wands at the ready," shouted Lockhart. "When I count to 3, cast your charms to disarm your opponents. Only to disarm them. We don't want any accidents. 1, 2, 3.